Hello there, glad to meet you. Welcome to the world of Pokemon. My name is Oak. People affectionately refer to me as the Pokemon Professor. This world is inhabited far and wide by creatures called Pokemon. For some people, Pokemon are pets. Others use them for battling. As for myself, I study Pokemon as a profession. But first, tell me a little bit about yourself. Now tell me, are you a boy or are you a girl? Well, according to Wind Waker, one of my favorite items and items I think is super pretty is the golden feather, but according to the description, only winged girls like them, so I guess that makes me a girl, so we're just gonna roll with that. Let's begin with your name. What is it? Well, hello, Kukomi here, and welcome to a new series. The Pokemon series is easily one of my favorites, and it means a lot to me, and I hope I can show you guys why this series is so special to me. This game in particular isn't one of my favorites, but I still like it nonetheless. And, well, we're going to go on an adventure. I'm naming myself Kukomi. The reason I'm naming myself in all caps is that pretty much all character names in this game are all caps. Not grammatically correct, but I want to remain consistent with the rest of the world. So, conformism, hooray. Right, so your name is Kukomi. This is my grandson. He's been your rival since you were babies. Seriously, every time I read that line, I have to question how the heck are babies rivals? What was his name now? So I was originally planning on going with one of the default names. Then, I decided to stream a Wind Waker randomize a few days ago. I think I have an appropriate name for one of the items that gave me so much grief in there. The funniest part? That's the default name for the girl character. So haha, I'm emasculating you. What now? Was it Leaf? That's right, I remember now. His name is Leaf. Kukomi, your very own Pokemon legend is about to unfold. A world of dreams and adventures with Pokemon await. Let's go. And we're here in our room. We can do several things like go back to bed. Seriously though, if I was actually thrown in here, that's probably the first thing I would do. Good night. We have a console in front of the TV that's an NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. Normally in Pokemon games, the console that you have in your room is usually the most recent console Nintendo has put out, but in this case, this is actually a remake of the very first Pokemon games, and they had an NES in those games, so normally it would have been a GameCube, but eh. We have some other stuff. We have a bookshelf. It's crammed full of Pokemon books. And it's a nicely made dresser. It will hold a lot of stuff. It's a shame it'll never get any use. And we have a PC. We have a mailbox which is completely empty, and an item storage which actually has one item in it. You don't need to grab this, but it's nice to have. And we have a sign by our room. It's a posted notice. If you're confused, ask for help. Press the L or R button. This feature is pretty much exclusive to this game, but if you press L or R, they have a help system where you can just ask about, what is this game? What are Pokemon? It's there if, I can't get out of a room. Help! I'm trapped in my room. Okay, that was pretty funny. So, it's there if you need it, but we're not really going to be using it. But hey, this game is handling tutorials better than modern Pokemon games are, and that's saying a lot. We head downstairs and we see our mom. Right, all girls dream of traveling. It said so on TV. Oh yes, Professor Oak next door was looking for you. So, you're basically just telling me to get lost because of something you saw on TV. We inspect the TV, and there's a movie on TV. A girl with her hair in pigtails is walking up a brick road. That is a reference to The Wizard of Oz. And I believe if you're a boy, it'll actually say something along the lines of, you see a group of boys walking down a railroad. I don't know what that's a reference to, and I might actually be thinking of a different Pokemon game, but interesting nonetheless. Also, fun fact about this TV. I can't remember if it's in the remake or not, but I definitely know in the original, there is actually text for interacting with the side of and behind the TV, where it'll tell you that's the wrong side. though it is impossible to reach that during normal gameplay. You would have to hack or use some glitch or something to read it, or to see that text. There's some other things in the house. We're going to inspect it now because we're literally never going to look at this ever again. So, we might as well. We can inspect the plant, and we head outside. Welcome to Pallet Town. And before we get going, well, right as I said that, I started moving. I want to go over the menu really quick. We have a bag which basically holds items. We have normal items. These are stuff we can use in battle, stuff we can make our Pokemon hold. There are key items. These are important items to our adventure. And Pokeballs. We don't have any yet, so we'll worry about it when we get it. This is our trainer card. This basically tells us our name, our trainer ID, the amount of money we have, shows you a picture of your character if you're interested, and how long you've been playing. It also will show you how many unique Pokemon you've caught when we finally get that, and your progress towards the end of the game. We can flip to the back and see this. I believe that can be like a little intro greeting. And you see an ID number in the top right. Every trainer gets one. It's a 5-digit number that's supposed to be completely unique, but it's randomly generated, so there is a chance you'll get the same ID number as someone else. This is basically how if you were to trade Pokemon with someone else, the game will recognize a Pokemon. The game will recognize a Pokemon as specifically yours if it has the same trainer, original trainer who caught it, which in case will be Kukomi for me, and the ID number. So any Pokemon I caught will have those two added to it no matter what. It'll list me as the trainer who caught it and my ID number. There's also a third thing called Hidden ID, which is another digit randomly generated when you start your file that you cannot normally view, but that's getting into the mechanics of Pokemon. And also, for money, yeah, you're probably thinking, wow, we have $3,000? That's so much! For a 10-year-old? Well, actually, for one, I believe the protagonists of this game are officially 11, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Otherwise, for the money, think of it as the Japanese currency yen, which 3,000 yen would roughly translate to about $30. I think slightly less because I think the US dollar at this moment, at the time of recording this video, is slightly stronger than the Japanese yen. So, we can save our game. Would you like to save your game? Warning, there is a different... You won't get this every time. It's only there if you're saving over a previous file, which I made a test file to look at some stuff. Otherwise, it'll say, save. Are you sure you want to save? And then you confirm and you save. There is options. This will allow you to set the text speed. It's set to mid by default, but in my test one, I set it to fast. Generally, when you go through restart a new file, it'll keep your settings at least. Battle scene basically chooses whether to play move animations or not in battle. If you want to go fast, you can turn it off, but I like to see the move animation, so we're going to keep it on. This is really interesting. I will get into this when we actually get into a battle where this is relevant, but just know that I'm going to set this to set, and that the default is shift. A basic idea is that this is sort of like a difficulty thing hidden in the option, where this is standard and this is slightly harder. Sound, you can choose different button mappings, but we don't really care about that. Frames, you can change the frame for where text is displayed. This is actually based on the original Pokemon game. These are just different colors, different designs. And I think I'm going to go with blue. And exit is just exit, but you can also exit pressing B or start. Well, it said our mom told us Professor Oak next door is looking for us, so why don't we add it in here? Hi, Kukomi. My brother Leaf is out at Grandpa's lab. Yeah, that's pretty much all she has to say. And, well, here is, and the sign is really far away, but this is Oak Pokemon Research Lab. So yeah, not only does he have one of the two houses in here, but he also built a building. Wow, these guys literally have nothing. Also, this guy. There's always a guy like this at the beginning of the very Pokemon game, but I always love talking to him. Technology's incredible! You can now store Pokemon, wow. And back to the traditional thing of all my series where I cannot read text. You can now store and recall items and Pokemon as data via PC. Basically, yeah, at the beginning of every Pokemon game, there's always going to be a guy who goes, "Science is amazing!" Always fun to talk to. Always look forward to seeing him in new releases. We come here and we see our rival that we named Leaf. What? It's only Kukomi? Gramps isn't around. Well, screw you too, buddy. Here's just some stuff to tell you, hey, you can open the menu and you can save. These are Pokeballs, they contain Pokemon, we can't do anything with them at the moment. And that's really, I guess there's also this. It's like an encyclopedia, but the pages are blank. That's a pretty bad encyclopedia if they're all blank. So, Professor Oak's nowhere to be seen, and our mom wants us to scram and go on an adventure. So, the best way by learning stuff is trial by fire, right? Let's go into the wild. Oh, hey, wait! I didn't actually mean to read the oak part. Why did I read that? It's unsafe. Wild Pokemon live in tall grass. You need your own Pokemon for your protection. I know. Here, come with me. Gramps, I'm fed up with waiting. Leaf, let me think. Oh, that's right. I told you to come. Just wait. Here, Kukomi. There are 3 Pokemon here. The Pokemon are held inside these Pokeballs. When I was young, I was a serious Pokemon trainer. But now, in my old age, I have only these 3 left. You can have one. Go on, choose. Hey, Gramps, no fair. What about me? Be patient, Leaf. You can have one too. And with that, we get to choose our first Pokemon. We have 3 options. And I'm going to introduce you to a particular aspect of the series where I will be reviewing every Pokemon in the game. Right now, you should see some text to the side along with a picture of the Pokemon I am particularly talking about at this moment. You should see from top to bottom its name. That is the name of the Pokemon. Its type. Types essentially decide what it's strong and weak against. A Pokemon can have up to 2 types, but they can also only have 1. In this case, this Pokemon Bulbasaur is Grass Poison. You can see a picture of the Pokemon itself, you can also see one in the middle of the screen, and you see stats, including attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed, and HP. Can't forget about HP. HP is basically your Pokemon's stamina. If it hits 0, your Pokemon will faint and cannot fight anymore. Whenever it gets hit by a move, it's going to go down. A move that does damage, that is. Moves that do damage are classified into 2 categories. Physical moves and special moves. Think of physical moves like your tackles, your punches. Think of special moves like shooting flamethrowers from your mouth or breathing on someone. Yeah, basically if the move involves making physical contact, it's most likely physical. However, it's a little different in this Pokemon game, but if you're playing more recent ones, it's pretty simple to tell which ones are physical and which ones are special. And defense is the stat that will determine how much damage you take from those sorts of moves. So defense for physical moves and special defense for special moves. Speed determines who goes first in a battle. If 2 Pokemon have the same speed, then it's a coin flip. And, well, let's talk about Bulbasaur, the first Pokemon in the Pokedex, and one of the few starters with the unique distinction of having 2 types. All starters are going to be in a sort of a triangle, grass, fire, water, where each type beats another. Grass beats water, water beats fire, fire beats grass. And Bulbasaur is our grass starter. It's very easy to raise. Oak says this because Bulbasaur has a type advantage against some of the first major battles in the game. That would be the best way to put it. But honestly, I would say that if you're new to the Pokemon series, I would recommend against picking Bulbasaur, as it's a Pokemon that relies more on status moves and defending than actual straight up attacking, though it certainly does have its fair share of attacking moves. So Bulbasaur will evolve into Ivysaur at level 16, it might be level 18, and to Venusaur at level 32. And the stats you see are the stats of its final evolution, Venusaur. It's going to keep its grass poison typing throughout its entire life. It won't change. Sometimes Pokemon can gain a type or change types upon evolving, which basically is like a metamorphosis. Once you meet a certain condition, a Pokemon will essentially change, and generally when they evolve, they will have higher stats. So evolving is, for the most part, a good thing. Unless you really like the Pokemon in its current stage, you can stop a Pokemon from evolving. So, yeah, Bulbasaur is very much more of like your status inflictor. It'll inflict like poison, sleep, paralysis. If you're familiar with RPGs and like having someone like that, then Bulbasaur is a great choice, but offensively, Bulbasaur is probably the worst of the three. It's definitely more like a disruptor sort. The second Pokemon, this is actually the second. This Pokemon is technically second, but this one comes in it before the Pokedex. Pokemon number 4, Charmander. You should raise it patiently. Oak says this because it has a type disadvantage against the first few major battles in the game. So, technically, type-wise, you'd be at a disadvantage. However, you can catch other Pokemon to cover Charmander's disadvantages. You don't have to stick with just Charmander. Charmander is the offensive Pokemon of the three. If you're looking for something that's just straight up offense, Charmander's the way to go. It's also the worst defensively, especially when it gets when it hits its final evolution as Charizard and gains that flying type and gains more weaknesses. It loses one weakness and then gains a bunch. So, Charmander is, I would hesitate to call Charmander a glass cannon. It can certainly take a hit, but it's definitely the least defensive and most offensive compared to the other two starters. It will evolve into Charmeleon at level 16 and into Charizard at level 36, and when it evolves into Charizard, it'll gain a flying typing. Not a dragon typing, a flying type. Dragon type is a thing and Charizard doesn't have it. It's also the mascot of this game. It's kind of one of the most popular Pokemon out there. You've probably heard of it, even if you're not familiar with Pokemon at all. And last but certainly not least is Squirtle. Squirtle is basically the straight up tank of the three. It's not as much of a disruptor as... It's not really a disruptor like Bulbasaur is. It has decent attacking moves, but its main thing is that it can take hits. So if you're looking for something that can just, well, take hits early on, and it can still dish out pretty decent damage, Squirtle is the one. If you're completely new to this game, I would recommend Squirtle, because it has an advantage against the first major battles in the game, but it kind of breaks even with the next one. So you're not really at too much of a disadvantage, and by the time you do get to something that will give you a disadvantage, you'll be able to catch other Pokemon to cover Squirtle's weaknesses. So yeah, if you're new, I highly recommend Squirtle. But that's just me. It'll evolve into Wartortle at level 16, and into Blastoise at level 36. And it is the only starter to start with one type and remain with that type. Throughout all of its evolution, it will only remain water. So the question is, which one am I going to use? Well, I thought long and hard about this. I can say right now, I ruled out Charmander basically immediately. Charmander is actually my favorite of the three personally, but it's the most popular. Everybody and their mother uses it, and I've used Charmander before, and I kind of wanted to do something a little different. There's Squirtle. I certainly did consider Squirtle. It's tanky. It's still very popular. It's the second most popular after Charmander, and I have also used a Squirtle before. And Bulbasaur. It's the only starter of the three I've actually never used in a playthrough. I've seen other people use it, but I've never used it myself. And it's a solid Pokemon. I like it a lot. I like its middle evolution, particularly because of Smash Brothers. But I'm not going to go with Bulbasaur. I'm going to go with Squirtle. This Pokemon is really quite energetic, and we received the Squirtle from Professor Oak. Do we want to give it a nickname? You don't have to, but essentially it adds a little personalization to your Pokemon. And normally I would ask you, the viewer, for suggestions on my nicknames for my Pokemon, and you'll be able to nickname future members of my team, But for this one, since it's our first member and the person we have to go to change the nicknames of our Pokemon, yeah, we can't just do it whenever. We have to go to someone to change it. Which is really weird the more you think about it. That person is a little while off, so if I were to just leave it as Squirtle, we would see it as just Squirtle for quite some time. So, I came up with a nickname I think I really like for it, and that's Genbu. I mean, hey, we're playing an RPG from Japan, we might as well reference other RPGs from Japan while we're at it. And one that came out not too long ago as recording this video. Almost a year, but it's been like, what, 9 to 8 months? Yeah, 8 months sounds about right. And Leaf will, or your rival rather, will always choose a starter that has a type advantage against yours. So if I chose Bulbasaur, he would choose Charmander. If I chose Charmander, he would choose Squirtle. Basically, he always, he pretty much is a jerk. He will purposely pick the one that's strong against yours because he likes to feel good about himself. If wild Pokemon appears, our Pokemon can battle it. So now we can leave home and face the world with our Pokemon, Genbu. Yes, we have a new option. This allows us to see all the Pokemon currently in our party, and we can check their summary. This one's a careful nature. So natures actually natures will usually favor one stat and not favor another stat, so it can be like a favor attack and then not favor special attack. I don't remember what careful does off the top of my head, or if it's even good for Squirtle, but it's interesting. It gives the Pokemon a bit more personality. There are also some natures that have no effects on stats, so I'll look up what it does off screen, but if I had to guess based on its stats right now, I would say Careful would raise special defense and lower special attack. Which is kind of bad actually, because Squirtle's a really good special attacker. Or, well, a lot of Squirtle's moves are special attacks, though its attack isn't bad. All Pokemons have abilities, we'll get more to that later. I think I've done enough explaining. Let's just get on with it. Wait, Kukomi, let's check out our Pokemon. Come on, I'll take you on. And with that, we jump straight into our first battle against our rival, Leaf. Like I said, he will have the Pokemon with the type advantage against yours, but that literally means nothing at this point in the game because moves also have types. So you never had a Pokemon battle, basically you pit your Pokemon against another, your goal is to get their HP to 0. All Pokemons have moves, they can have up to 4, and moves also have types, the same types that Pokemon would have. If a move's type matches the Pokemon that's using it, their type, you will gain a little extra damage. This is referred to as same type attack bonus, or often abbreviated stab. So if you ever see people talking about stab in the Pokemon community, all capitalized, that's what they're referring to. So eventually our little Genbu will learn moves that match its type, but for right now, Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle will only know normal type moves, which are neither super effective nor not very effective against each other. So, really, all we can do is just start slamming our turtle into this plant, and hope we win. If you did pick up the potion, you can use it by going to items and selecting it, so if, say, Genbu's HP were to get low, I could use the potion. And this is essentially the first battle. The first battle of any Pokemon game is never anything great. It's usually just this. Just slamming into each other, hoping one will go down first. And it missed. Okay. Yes, moves do have a chance of missing. And when we take down Pokemon, we'll gain experience. Gain enough experience, you will level up. And, oh yeah, it's plus 0 special attack. I'm guessing this is minus special attack. Squirtle, that's not good. But one of Squirtle's big strengths is its tankiness, and that's not being affected. What? Unbelievable! I picked the wrong Pokemon! Kukomi got 80 Pokéyen for winning, and yes, we get money for beating people. Hooray! If you lose this, Oak will pay off for you. So yeah, he's really nice towards us compared to his grandson, jeez. Okay, I'll make my Pokemon battle to toughen it up. Kukomi, Gramps, smell ya later. And our Pokemon will automatically be healed after battle, This time, normally they wouldn't be automatically healed after battle. We would have to go somewhere to heal them or use items from our bag. And with that, it's time we head on our merry way to the next town. And we are now walking the wild grass. This is essentially where you can get random encounters. There are 2 new Pokemon on this route. Here's one of them right now, but I will not be going over them this episode, as we've already spent long enough in explanation mode, and we can't even catch these Pokemon yet. I want to talk to this guy. Hi, I work at a Pokemon Mart. It's a part of a convenient chain selling all sorts of items. Please visit us in Viridian City. I know, I'll give you a sample. Here you go. And we obtained the potion. So that's a free potion. Whenever you talk to him the first time in any playthrough, he will always give you a potion. And for the most part, I will be cutting out random encounters because they're pretty much boring and there's no real point to them. The big difference between random encounters and trainer battles is, one, Pokemon trainers can have multiple Pokemon, they're generally higher leveled, and we can run from wild battles, we cannot run from trainer battles. You also get money for defeating trainers, so there's also that. And so we just continue to head on forward. See someone else sort of frolicking in the grass? See those ledges along the road? It's a bit scary, but you can jump from them. You can get back to Pallet Town quicker that way. Well, if we ever go home, we'll have to keep that in mind. These are essentially one-way shortcuts, but if we were to jump down this, we would have to walk back around to get back to where we were. But they are generally placed in a way that'll make getting around faster. So it's nice if you ever need to backtrack. And, well, with that, we have reached the next town, or in this case, city. Welcome to Viridian City. And that's a trainer tips thing, I don't want to read that. There's normally a sign in most Pokemon towns saying, hey, here's what this town is, and some motto, and they're always really nice to look at. But I don't see it here. So, with that, we've accomplished a little bit today. We've got our first Pokemon, won our first battle, and actually, fun fact, this is my second attempt recording this first episode. My first attempt, I lost that battle. And then I almost got taken down by a Pidgey. Yeah, needless to say, I got a lot more lucky this time. Well, I think my Squirtle had a better nature. And, well, next time on Pokemon Fire Red, we'll explore Viridian City and see where we can go next. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.